I think, let me not say it's a confusing tax, but it's not charged as it's supposed to mean in terms of value added tax, but scholars historically have portrayed it as a consumption tax. So when Cliff was speaking, I remembered about it, and I think when you look at how the tax that is being collected is being used, is different from when we say that value added tax is being charged. Value add here is me taking milking a cow and adding preservatives and putting it in those 2 cartons. So I have added value to it, and now I sell to you. Me talking about bread, I took my wheat flour and I baked, and therefore I am charging a tax. So when it comes to fuel, VAT is charged based on this product has been made accessible. Under value addition metrics, there are a couple of metrics including utility, whereby you making a product accessible to a particular place, or you taking a product from one point and taking it to the end user or consumer, it's considered as value addition, and that's why again VAT is charged on fuel. However, I have my own reservations and my own propositions on how I think if the government is really into cushioning the consumer at the end of the day, then I think this particular tax should come in as a specific, an absolute value, same way we've done for excise duty. Why I say this is because any day, anytime, I know that fuel will be charged, let's say petrol will be charged 25 shillings excise duty. Diesel will be charged, let's say 18 shillings excise duty. However, for VAT, all these other taxes will be added to the landed costs and the distribution costs, operating, what do we call them? Oil marketing companies, and everything that is charged on fuel will be added together, and then VAT will be calculated as a percentage of this total. So it makes it very expensive if landed costs increase, or if, for instance, the way we did with the road maintenance levy, increasing it from 18 to 25, if that happens, then VAT also increases. But if we have a specific absolute tax, call it whatever, consumption tax, as long as it's an absolute figure, then it would make more sense if you're talking about cushioning the consumer. This has been used in a couple of other countries, but most countries use VAT as a whole. However, remember, I made a specific argument that regardless of what other countries or other jurisdictions are doing, it's important to always localize problems and actually look at things that work for us. Because as I started giving my contribution or submission on this particular topic, I said that fuel is used in many industries. So if we are able to reduce the costs of doing business in our country, then we will increase production, we will increase demand, we will increase attractiveness, and all of those things that come with ease of doing business. Because at the end of the day, if the input prices are high, definitely the output prices will be high. And therefore, if this input we are calling fuel is high, every other thing becomes high, and you will see it in inflation, you will see it in food, we have already seen it in bus fare. So it will trickle down, it has a ripple effect. So I have a problem with us charging a percentage on a commodity that we think is something that is so important and critical in the economy, and when we purport to say that we are cushioning the consumer. Because you see this back and forth, I always say that the government has a lot of data. It knows everything in terms of what is demanded in the country, what is used. It knows how maybe demand changed after we had an increase in VAT in 2023. It knew how demand was when fuel was exempted from VAT, when it was at 8%. It knew all of this. So it's very possible to actually use this data and look at the revenue maximizing point, considering all the other sectors of the economy that use fuel as an input. So this should be able to tell them that if we have 6%, for example, as VAT for fuel, we are going to be able to maximize on the other revenue collections from the different sectors, from foreigners who come to set up shop in our country. We will be able to maximize that. Or it's 8%, or it's 10%, or it's 0%. So the point is, we are looking at where are we maximizing our revenue collections at. It's not what other jurisdictions are doing, and it's not the low-hanging fruits that we have right now, and then exchange this for a future that may be mayhem and problematic because of the debts that we are taking in right now, and we will need to repay them back, yet we have not invested well enough with the money that we are borrowing right now. So the problem lies therein, and it's important for the policymakers and for the people that are in charge of putting up these or adjusting these taxes to be able to understand and sit down. I know they do sit down, they do have meetings, they have all of this data. But if we were able to just stop picking the low-hanging fruits of, let's just add this VAT. We're not looking at the structural issues, the problems that an economy has, the things that an economy needs to be able to grow, the vamping up of production and all of those things. If we work on those, I am positive that we are going to expand our revenue collection areas and even production that will, at the end of the day, bring in more revenues for the government as opposed to just hiking something or a particular rate. Back to you.
Thank you very much, Stella, and I appreciate your submission. You actually tackle the issue of VAT, and I hope now it makes sense to all of you when we talk about value added tax. I've always tried to think hard. Where is the value of a commodity? Is it during conception or when it gets to the market? At what point is the value more important?